Hi, Pete Weissman with Thought Leader Communications. I'm here in Washington, D.C. for the Professional Speechwriters Association Conference, and I'm asking folks what their favorite tip is. First up, Ona.
Hello, thank you, Pete. My name is Ona Nelson, a Public Affairs Officer with the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, and my favorite tip here was instead of sometimes communicating facts or opinions, the best way to really connect with your audience is to communicate values.
Great, thank you.
My name is Mike Field. I work at the University of Pennsylvania. I'm actually going to repeat the tip that I offered, which was never to use a naked quote. If you're going to use a quote, make sure you give a backstory. Don't just cite the person in the quote. Give some context. It'll enliven the speech tremendously.
Hi, I'm Gina Rubensaul. I'm from Washington, D.C. And I think one thing that has stuck out to me and really inspired me is that it is possible to have engaging virtual events. And I have a new energy once I finish reading the book.
Hi, Jonathan Rick. I am a freelance ghostwriter for the appropriately named Jonathan Rick Group. This is my first PSA World Conference. I taught a seminar today on what speechwriters need to know about Wikipedia. Here's the one takeaway for you to know. Let's say I was born in 1982. I like to put that in my Wikipedia page. I can't just do so. I can't cite my own self. Wikipedia has a ban on what it calls original research. The policy is NOI, no original research. NOR if you're paying attention instead of NOI. What I have to do is cite a news article, a third-party source from the media that says I was born in 1982. This enables other people to verify it. I can't, of course, cite my own website because that is something I can change. Certainly can't cite a press release or my Twitter bio. Thanks so much.
Julie Lessons, speechwriter at the New York Fed. I love the reminder and tip that I heard today about drawing on your institution's history. Obviously, at the Federal Reserve, there is so much. It is a minefield, a gold vault, as we would say at the New York Fed, and a reminder to me to keep on drawing on the system, New York, and all that we have at the Federal Reserve, and continue to infuse it in our institution, externally, internally, all around.
My name is Christine Cernajeski. I am the Communications Director for the Lyndon Harry Broadley Foundation. I learned a very valuable tip at the session on crisis communications, and the background on that is when people are in crisis, even our most esteemed leaders, they aren't always thinking rationally. And so that's why you sometimes see corporations issue statements that when you hear them just don't sound rational. So a tip to avoid that, if you're working for a principal who finds themselves in a crisis communication situation, is to plan ahead of time and to say, we know that there's going to be a lot of irrational thoughts during a crisis. How are we going to deal with that ahead of time? What is our agreement together that we will have when we need to develop a message to address a crisis? So I think just planning is a really key tip to deal with any kind of messaging issue.
Dean Faust with CEO Speechwriters. This has been like drinking from a fire hose for 2 days at the Professional Speechwriters Association Conference. One of my favorite takeaways was Fred Garcia and talking about crisis communications and the need to plan. I was struck that Fred said that so many of his clients approach him about crisis comms consulting after they have made a massive mistake. So it's imperative to plan, and there are frameworks that you can put in place.
I'm Amanda Todd. I'm from the University of Wisconsin in Madison. One tip I found very helpful today was from Brenda Jones, who wrote for Congressman John Lewis for years. And she said, I realized at some point he didn't need from me something philosophical. He didn't need from me a great deal of intellectual kind of speaking points. He needed from me different ways to tell his story, different ways to look at one story and tell it depending on the audience and dial things up or back. So I found that very useful.
Hi, Vincent Rhodes from Eastern Virginia Medical School. I think one of the best moments this morning was when Brenda Jones was speaking, and it was kind of a realization that was refreshing and hit me as she was talking, and it was just how hard she had to work to capture what her principal wanted from her when she wasn't getting that directly from him. And I know it's really easy for us to kind of go away and go, they won't tell us what's wrong or they won't help us fix it, and just her persistence and commitment to making sure that she could get what her speaker needed, it helped her, it helped John Lewis, it certainly helped me to hear it, and I just need to be working harder at those things and not take them for granted.
Hi, I'm Catherine Keller. I'm with VMware, and my tip from the very first day was in crisis communications, make sure you have your processes established well in advance of any crises.
Hi, I'm Dan Gerstein, founder and CEO of Gotham Ghostwriters. My favorite takeaway so far from the conference was from Patty Sanchez from Duarte's presentation on how you maximize your opportunities when you're presenting virtually. And the tip that really stood out to me was to be thinking about presenting in 3D. That it's not just you on the camera, it's what's behind you as your visual backdrop, and it's the slides that you're using. And that all of that combined is going to affect how the audience responds to you and takes in what you have to communicate. You have to be cognizant of those 3 dimensions, so speaking in 3D.
Hi there, Kristen Daly from KA Daily Communications in Boston, and I will tell you that being surrounded by other people who think like you, who write like you, is refreshing and validating. And who knew that there was a speechwriter's manual that David Murray came up with and is willing to share with all of us. Know that we don't know it all. We have a lot to teach and a lot to learn from each other.